tone. Every word cuts through.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Sean.
My name is Rusty.
Welcome to Table Talk, the show where we just talk random ass shit. We'll talk about conspiracy theories. We'll talk about our week. We'll talk about wrestling. We'll talk about anything the fuck comes up at the moment. Uh,
Yeah.
and yeah, so do you want to dive right into it, man?
Sure, man.
You've been diving down some rabbit holes of conspiracies this past week.
Yeah. Well, there's another one that I
Oh fuck.
wanted to bring up real fast. So
Okay.
you know the Disney movie Frozen?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do you know why they made that?
I don't know why they made it, but I think that I know there's a weird link to it.
Okay. So there used to be these Google searches, which is also now I remember why I was going to bring that around. There's a couple of them, a couple other
Mm-hmm.
ones that are like this. So the Frozen, there used to be a lot of searches on the internet about Walt Disney being like his head frozen or his body frozen
Wow.
instead of he died. Or like he died, but like they
Yeah.
froze him. But
Like
too many people,
cryogenically frozen.
yeah. But too many people were searching this, and like they didn't want people searching this, so they made a movie called Frozen by Disney. Um, so then it goes and like makes the search stuff way further down. So it's like you have all this stuff about this movie about I don't know what the fuck the movie's about, dude. Frozen people or something, ice stuff, ice
I've
capades.
seen I've seen Frozen.
Okay, so but it's not about Walt Disney being cryogenically frozen.
Yeah.
It's about that stuff. Another one was the Black Lives Matter. There was a whole bunch of fucking horrible shit going on with the Bureau of Land Management. And then as soon as that was going on, hashtag BLM became a very different thing that was being searched for by people. And all that shit was going on with the Bureau of Land Management got really pushed down. It was,
Mm.
and then there's another one with this. Is it Dubai chocolate?
Mm-hmm.
So then that one too, like what that really is, if you were to search Dubai chocolate before this new Dubai chocolate came out, there would be very different search results.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Mm.
those aren't rabbit holes I've been going down. Well, the chocolate one, that's something new, the Dubai chocolate. But
Yeah.
yeah, the other one though is the Alex Jones and Bill Hicks. But yeah, man,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's what's been
It's
going
great.
on.
Yeah, it's crazy for anybody that doesn't know. That's like probably a lot of like almost everybody. My living room sits right outside of Rusty's bedroom, and so like I can hear what he's watching sometimes on TV. And I heard him watching something about Alex Jones, and then it went. I was like, damn, Rusty's right up on the Alex Jones fucking trail right now. He's
Yeah, dude.
diving deep.
I was diving deep, man. I think I watched like at least 4 parts to something.
Wow.
And then I was watching some other stuff too. I mean, they weren't super long, but you say it's 4 parts as opposed to saying I
Yeah,
watched one video of some dude
yeah,
on TikTok. But I
yeah.
think it's gone into my TikTok as well as my YouTube. But
Mm,
uh, I was always under the impression that it was Bill Hicks died. They made Alex Jones, but I don't know, man. Yeah, then this was saying that Bill Hicks was a character of Alex Jones and
mm.
the character was ending. But then I saw something else that said that that Bill Hicks created a character called Alex Jones,
Mm.
and then that's a whole different thing. Because I mean, so Hicks died at 32, which is pretty fucking crazy. Weird it wasn't 33. If it was 33, there would have been different questions I would have been asking.
Yeah.
Because when people anything 33, then it's usually like going back to why they made a movie called Frozen,
Well,
Disney.
that's also the age that Jesus died too.
Right, which is a big thing, why they like that number. And there's a lot of reasons why. I'm gonna say they. I don't know exactly who they is, but there is a they.
Yeah, there is a they. We just don't know who they is.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, that is pretty crazy, man. And coincidentally enough, and I don't know this answer. Maybe you can answer it for me. At what age did Alex Jones actually become prominent after this other guy died?
Okay, so here's the thing. So he said that he looks, or that he is 20 something. Because I think that Bill Hicks was 10 or 12 years older than him. But
Okay.
Alex Jones, the age that he says, he looks like he's 12 years older than he really is. So I think he started like in his 20s at some time and said, "Oh, I'm 23 years old," but he looks like he's like, in his 30s and shit. And I think that like he came on the scene like right at the same time that Hicks died. And like the shit that like Hicks talked about and joked about was pretty close. And they've had some rants that have been like seem pretty close. And then they have like these two identical marks on them. There's a lot of those that I see with people that like they have like these 2 or 3 identical marks that don't really change, like in the same spots. The people that they say are, clones or playing a different character once they quote unquote die.
It's wild.
I don't know, man. There's whatever people are doing, who knows, man?
We live in a matrix.
Probably,
we live in the matrix. Telling you. It makes a lot of sense.
Right, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
I muted my mic and not yours. What's so then here's one. So like, I mean, the thing that got me at first, besides, I don't know, like, you can say it was JFK, but like that wasn't really something. But like once 9/11 happened, dude, I was like, there's some shit, man. There's definitely some funny stuff going on. I mean, Building 7 was like the one that was the weirdest one, man. Like I don't understand that.
Well, apparently there's a whole docu-series that what's his name? Tucker Carlson just released about the 9/11 cover-up.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and it's within the past few months, and it's a series of I'm pretty sure you can find them on YouTube.
Okay.
But going back to what you said about Frozen.
Sure.
I didn't know what you shared, and I thought it was going a different direction. So I'll share with you what I know. It's weird. So the main character, her name is Elsa. She's the one that sings the Let It Go song. She's the blonde-haired girl with the blue dress that's very iconic that people know. Apparently, she was named after a porn star named Elsa Jean, who looks just like her.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's a very odd coincidence if that is the case. But like the cartoon character looks just like the porn star.
She didn't get any money for that?
Nope, no royalties.
Damn, dude.
No royalties.
Dude, yeah, they fucked her.
I mean, they could have named the character EJ, but they didn't. But regardless, man.
Who is she? Earthworm Jim?
Urka jerk.
Urka jerk.
Urk
Dude,
and jerk. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's weird things with that. And then
Yeah.
you know, like and then they had another movie. I was telling my friend this, but it was back when I was all into telling people about adrenochrome and shit. And
Okay.
then like how they um like the more that you scare these kids, like the higher potency it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was told about a movie, Monsters Inc., I think is what it was. And that's what that movie is about. Like that movie is about trying to like the more you scare these kids, the better fucking these fucking bad guys get, man. Like and stronger they get and all this weird shit, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've never seen Monsters Inc.?
No, yeah, I don't
You should
watch
watch
like
it.
Disney or Pixar
You should.
movies really.
You should. There's a
Okay.
lot of symbolism in a lot of the things, right? Like a lot of things that kind of like as an adult now you're looking back and you're either like that makes sense and it didn't make sense then, but it makes sense now in my life. Or you're like, wow, that's fucked up that they would do that, like put that in a child's movie.
Right.
Like some
Yeah.
real sexual like innuendos in these movies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like they've always kind of done that. There's always been a little something for the adults to see, you know, that
Yeah.
um that's always kind of been their
Yeah.
fucking gimmick. You ever hear about Club 33 at Disney World or Disneyland?
I have. I don't know
So
a
what
lot about it, but I've heard of it.
so yeah, it's like a secret exclusive club again with that 33.
Yeah.
We could talk about Disney, man. Like Disney is a whole fucking a lot of weird shit.
Dude, there's an underground city underneath
Oh,
Disney
for
World.
sure, dude. And you know how many kids go fucking missing at Disney World?
Mhm.
Uh-huh. And
Mhm.
dude, like behind that, or behind like you know, like the Super Bowl and shit, like Disney's like one of the highest places like where kids go missing. And
You know
like,
what
dude,
like
yeah,
blows go ahead.
go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, like, you know, then they send them off to fucking Neverland or you know,
Neverland Ranch.
all that shit or fucking no, well, I mean, yeah, that too, but like uh like Peter Pan, dude, like all the and
Yeah.
Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Pinocchio too was a fucked up one, dude. Like
Yeah.
that one has a lot of fucking weird fucked up shit.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
so what were you gonna say?
Um, from my understanding, the actors that dress up in the costumes and stuff and walk around amongst the crowds, apparently they have to sign an NDA for an extended period of time, and they can't talk about what happens behind closed doors or, in this underground city. Um, I know that there's been one actor that's come forward and has talked about it, but they got sued.
Was it a guy?
I believe so.
Because I saw some guy maybe about a year ago that was talking about
Yeah.
doing it, and
Mhm.
he was like homeless. Um, like there, a lot of them are homeless, like
Yeah.
because they can't afford to live, which is fucked up. But it's one of those things too. Like there's so many people who will be I don't know what the term would be, like a scab for like you know union shit or whatever, or like
Yeah.
do people are like, oh my god, I can play Elsa at Disneyland, dude. Like I will pay you to do that, man. Like you can pay me fucking chicken shit. You
Yeah.
can pay me chicken feed. I don't
Yeah.
care, man. Like I want to play fucking Elsa, dude, because that's all I want to do in my life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the crazy thing is too is like there's from my understanding the contracts talk about like getting promoted within the company if you are an actor, and it just doesn't really happen. It's like you're there for a season and you're done. It's almost like a scare actor at a haunted house, right? Like you're there for a season and then you just then when the season's over, you go about your way and then you come back next season.
Well,
But
I
I
mean,
don't
you.
necessarily.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't necessarily know that these actors at Disneyland or at Disney World or Disneyland are necessarily coming back the next season. I think they're excommunicated.
Yeah, I mean, how many people have you seen or talked to in anything that is ever, so this is kind of going back to the Matrix, that said that they were a cast member of some sort at Disney?
I've never met anybody.
I mean, do they just fucking kill these people at the end of it? Or fucking,
I don't know.
because like you think they can fucking go and like have that high of a turnover, that many people having those secrets and no one's fucking said anything yet? Like,
I don't know. It would be that would be a crazy movie concept.
yeah, because I mean,
Dude.
if you learn that shit, dude, like, like you're in.
Yo, no, that'd be a crazy like scary slasher movie concept where like you work for a company, it's great, and then you get your release letter and they're like, "Hey, sorry, we don't need your services anymore." And then it's the rest of the movie is about them sending people to kill you.
Yeah, dude, because I mean, and plus, like if it's under a mask or something, like in a whole costume, is one thing, but like you can't be a fucking 40-year-old or probably even 30-year-old Elsa.
Mm-mm.
Like you couldn't come back, dude. You always got to be that fucking weird
Late
age of
teens, early
all the,
20s.
yeah, dude, that all the, yeah, right. And
Yeah.
it's yeah, dude, you fucking age out of that real fast.
Yeah.
And you want them to have their Disney experience, or
Yeah.
I don't know,
You know,
man.
so stepping away from the Disney stuff, man, you know what's been popping up in my algorithm lately because we've been talking about it is the Garth Brooks conspiracy theory. Like literally, I'll get on Facebook and I'll scroll down. You got the Reels section,
Yeah,
and then I'll click on it. It'll be like, so yeah, Garth Brooks. I'm like, fuck. Okay,
yeah,
scroll Garth Brooks. I'm like, God damn it, stop listening to my shit.
yeah.
Fuck,
Garth be doing it, man.
Garth,
I
Garth, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I want to go to one of his concerts,
I don't.
but I don't. I mean, like, it'd probably cost like $400 for a ticket, and then
Yeah,
there'd be a fuck ton of people there, and I'd be like, why did I just spend this? But I'd more just want to see. I could probably just go online and type in people in the crowd at a Garth Brooks concert and just see that, because I'd rather. That's what I
yeah,
really want. I really want to see people with signs and chants and shit.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So that's been popping up in my algorithm, and fake AI videos of alien spaceships have been coming up in my in my
Oh,
algorithm. It's weird.
yeah, dude. Speaking of that, I just saw something about um man, I want to say it was like in Portland, and it was like not the World's Fair, but something like it. But they were showing, and it was like 1904, 1905, and they had these two different, like they had all these countries and shit that were
Mhm.
mapped out. And one was Tartaria and the other was Barbaria.
Mm.
Which I had never heard of that one either. And Caucasia. And
Hmm.
so yeah, Caucasia and Barbaria were two ones that I hadn't heard of before. But then like that'd be where Caucasians come from, and that'd be where barbarians come from. And
Yeah.
but then they were talking about all these like free energy devices on buildings, and because they had these things that look like the Hindenburg, um, that would be flying around. And then they were saying that they did the Hindenburg disaster as the false flag to say it was using what was it, what the fuck was in it, helium,
Mhm.
helium in it to make it explode and like scare people off from doing that. But they were a much more common way of getting around a lot of hidden history of stuff,
Yeah.
and like all that that stuff with cities built on top of cities, or like, you know, cities they say are so old, but then they're, you know, way older and shit like that.
So I'm actually, and it's weird that you bring that up. I've listened to a book, and I have to. It's on my Audible. Let me look it up. But this book is pretty wild. What is it called? Audiobooks. Okay, what is it called? Ah, the Teobian or Teoba prophecy, the Golden Planet, and it was by a guy named Michael DeMarquette, or yeah, DeMarquette, and he is Canadian or maybe French, one of the two. And it talks about a an alien abduction that he was a part of,
Oh,
and how he was taken to a planet and a bunch of different planets outside of our solar or outside of our galaxy, and he got to see how they lived and everything like that. But he asked the question about, you know, the creation of human beings, because there's a lot of conflicting ideologies. You know, some say evolution, some say God created man, man and woman. And it's weird because, like, in this book, it says that every race of human beings that we have on Earth came from a different planet, and
dude.
that when they came to, or when they were placed on Earth because their planets were dying off, when they came to Earth and were placed in certain places. So, like, you know, they identified them by skin color, but they said the yellow man, so the Asians were put in Asia, and then the, you know, black skin were put in Africa, and the white man was put in Europe, and then Indians were put in America, what we now know as America. Um, they said that and this is weird because it feels like a weird play on things, but it said at, you know, that as a race, the white race of people um, were the least knowledgeable about things, right? So, like, all the resources and all that stuff came from every other race, and then once they converged upon America, that's where everything became a melting pot. So it's weird that that came up and that it was played like that, but um, yeah, that's something that I heard, and I was like, man, that makes me question a lot.
Yeah, dude, they had a South Park episode about the
Mm,
about
mm,
where they find out that Earth is a fucking show, like a reality show made by
mm,
these aliens,
mhm.
and that, you know, it was all these different things from, like, everything was from a different planet, like, you know, and animals too and shit like that. And they all like, oh, what do they do when they'll all be put in a place living together, like, because they're going to cancel Earth. And that was also, there's a part in it where they have, like, that the boys fucking stumble upon uh these guys that were, like, basically doing drugs and sucking each other's dicks, and the boys come in and
Wow.
they take a picture of it, and, like, that's how they get it not canceled. And I
Mm,
swear that has to be what happened with South Park. If
mm,
like, they fucking saw something, and, like, they have some sort of something, so they can kind of get away with doing whatever and that shit. um
yeah.
but yeah, I don't know, man. That's
Yeah, it's
all.
weird, and but also, you know, one of the other things that I heard about the creation of existence. Have you heard of the Anunnaki?
Yeah, and I mean, like, so with any of this, like, we don't know what the fuck it is. We have theories about what it all is, and, like, any one of them could be right. I'm not saying one's right over the
Yeah,
other. Like, I don't fucking know. I wasn't there, dude. Like, I can guess. You know, there's science, but science is always a fucking theory. Science, there's no
yeah,
There's no fact to science. Like,
Well, it's because
and
science always changes.
right, and science is always changing, and like I, I want people not to just fucking stop and be like, okay, that's it, like that's right. Like maybe it's not. Maybe
Yeah.
it's not. So the Anunnaki, man, and I heard that a lot of Anunnaki have uh, a certain mark on their arm, as well as they seem to be the only ones with the RH blood type. I think it's
I don't know.
RH.
I don't know about that. I don't know about the modern finds. I know about the history of the Anunnaki, about how they lived on a planet. They were looking for gold for their planet to sustain life, because their planet kind of like survived and thrived on the minerals within gold. And so they came to Earth, and they had the Anunnaki, and then they had the Inky, I think it is. And so the Anunnaki were like the superior, and the Enki were the ones that were the slaves. And so the Enki would dig this gold, and the Anunnaki would just press them until they got to a point of breaking. And there's a big revolt, and and then there became like crossbreeding between the two, and then the Nephilim were created, which are massive giants that are like what we would now know as demigods or fallen angels. Um, and they came and swept through the lands. I mean, there's evidence of giants. Like
Well,
there's
yeah,
there's archaeological finds of giants. There's stories of giants in the caves of Afghanistan, like that are still alive to this day, which is fucking crazy. Um, but they found bones of giants. Apparently, the Smithsonian has or had bones of a giant from Afghanistan. But it's pretty crazy. So then you've got these creatures that are there. So the Anunnaki theory is pretty wild. And so the Anunnaki, like, their average height was 7 or 8 foot tall, if not taller. But because of gravity, and because humans were created here, gravity has shrunk people down size. So that's
true.
why, like, the Anunnaki actually look like if the depictions of them look like everyday human beings, but they're just super fucking tall because gravity does not hold as much of a presence on their planet. Whereas here, gravity is very fucking dense. And so the older we get as a civilization, the smaller we get. I mean, there's still people that are fucking huge, but um, yeah, man, it's pretty crazy. So yeah, the Anunnaki theory is pretty wild. I've done some extensive searches on it, and I've listened to quite a few podcasts about the Anunnaki, and things seem to like go back to them. I mean, there's even tablets that have been found out in the Middle East, like Cairo and out in Egypt and places like that, that the Anunnaki are actually referenced in them.
Yeah. And so then that's another thing that is a weird one, because like carbon dating and all that, like how fucking accurate is it? Like what's it really mean? Could these have been placed here by someone else? But then you have also things on, cave walls and shit of things that look like modern things that people have
Hmm.
on these fucking cave drawings and shit. And it's like, well, that looks just like a fucking iPod or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
shit like that, dude. Like, I don't know, man. Cause like it could be that old. It could be fucking 30 years old. I mean, I don't know, 50 years old.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't fucking know, dude. But like,
Well, I think,
I could believe that, something.
yeah. I mean, the what I find to be most interesting is when they have these finds out in the desert, right? Like some of them are on tablets, others are on papyrus, and the papyrus like would actually date. And I know like carbon dating can be falsified or whatever, but like the carbon dating dates around that period and that time, and it tells stories of like relevant people. But also, one of the crazy things is as an adult now, I now look at the Bible differently than a lot of people. I look at it as an instruction manual of how to live your life, but not necessarily to believe in like one secular God. But it's a, you have good descriptions of some good human beings that lived in their their lifetime, and obviously the depiction of Jesus. But the crazy thing is you can take the Bible and you can actually go and search out some of these places that are in the Bible that are real, right? So like one of the biggest things right now, well, not, I wouldn't say right now, but like since the early 80s was Noah's Ark, right? um, because they hadn't been able to find Noah's Ark. Well, there was I want to say it was a Pakistani Air Force captain or something that was flying over Mount Ararat, and he saw what looked like, and it fit the exact measurements of Noah's Ark. It wasn't the actual like structure itself; it was the imprint in the land. And
Oh,
so yeah, yeah. And so the theory is that a lot of scientists believe now is that Noah's Ark settled on the top of Mount Ararat because that's the only place that it could settle without dropping deeper. And then once time and the land started shifting, that boat just ended up sinking further down the mountain. And now we know that like rivers and lakes and even oceans and seas have started pulling away from each other and congregating in one central location. I mean, for fuck's sake, we know that there was a river that ran right through Cairo, which is why you have a lot of dating of the soil that goes back so far, because there used to be sea life there, or some kind of water life there. But the thought is that Noah's Ark just sank down deeper into the valley below, and then got covered up over time, which is crazy to think about. But like that's one of them. And then with the Red Sea and Moses, right? Like they have actual um, actual pieces of armor, chariots, bones from humans, as well as horses that were found at the bottom of the Red Sea when Moses supposedly split the sea, so his people could cross after leaving Egypt. And then they have like the location of Mount Golgotha where Jesus was crucified. The craziest thing though is that they cannot pinpoint his grave. They have never been able to pinpoint where he was buried, which is insane. They found a bunch of tombs that have the inscriptions of Jesus, son of Mary and Joseph, but Mary and Joseph were very common names at
well,
that
and
time.
do you know how many
Jesus
people
was
would
too.
want to make that as well? Like,
Yeah.
just I mean, people would be like, dude, I want to make like we can't find it, man. Let's make this. Let's make one. Let's fucking
Yeah.
say, hey, dude, like, are they digging up the fucking bodies and being like, oh, yep, there was fucking Jesus in there, man. Fucking throw his
Yeah.
ass back down in the fucking grave, bury
Well,
him
so
back
the
up.
the DNA samples, would have to match certain DNA samples, right? So like you can take DNA samples from bones and from what they were wrapped in at the time, and then make a geological or a scientific connection between the two, or a biographical connection between the two. Uh, but or biological. You make a biological connection between the two. But what they have with the Shroud of Turin, which you and I have talked about, and maybe that's something we can dive into a little bit later on. The Shroud of Turin. If you have the Shroud of Turin, those DNA samples have to match that shroud, and they have not found anything that matches that shroud yet. So pretty wicked.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know, who knows Jesus really was, if Jesus really was, what Jesus really was. Like, who the fuck knows, man? Like, because Jesus could have been a number of people too. Jesus could have been more than one person.
Yeah.
Jesus could have, I don't know, man. Fucking could be fucking anything, dude. Could just be, I don't know. Could be an exaggerated story. Could be a lot of things, man. Like, you know, and the story's been changed so much, but not a lot. But like, it's real easy. And then like the version, the Bible that most of us know is the King James version, which is
Mhm,
has a very big agenda
mhm,
about pushing certain things. But I mean,
mhm.
there's a lot of versions of the Bible, a lot of older versions, but um, still, dude, like, yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of possibilities, a lot of good ways to live, and like a lot of you know, stories that probably did happen in one way or another.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I think one of the things that I think a lot of people fail to realize is that the Bible was written by human beings. It was not written by man, and it's translated by human beings, not by any godly entity, right? And so there's going to be some fallacy in the Bible, but also the first four chapters or first four books of the New Testament are called they're called the apostles, I think, or the gospels, right? The new gospels. And so it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And those are all stories about Jesus from either stories passed down to them or their own perspective of that individual, that version of Jesus. But they all in a weird way line up, right, with the description of who he was and who he was. And these aren't people that like grew up with Jesus and were like, hey, we're homies, we're we chase that wheel down the street, with a stick. These are just dudes that randomly popped up throughout history, and there's only one person like in that, well, maybe three people within that actual subcategory that would know the lifespan of Jesus. That would be his mother, his father, which his father isn't really mentioned after the age of 12, which is weird because we don't know what happened to him. But then John the Baptist, which was his cousin. And apparently Jesus and John the Baptist were like fucking close as shit. He got beheaded at some point, and when he got beheaded, that was kind of like the end of that story. Um, so there's only like three people in the New Testament or even in the Gospels that know like the full story of Jesus or up to what they could possibly know. And from my understanding, there's no Dead Sea Scrolls to support that. There's the
yeah,
Dead Sea Scroll of like Mary Magdalene, which was one of his followers, considered to be Jesus's wife. That was never like officially. Um, he never like officially came out in the Gospels and said, "Yeah, this is my wife." But every sign would indicate that that was his
yeah.
wife. It's crazy.
So okay, so then why was his story so important to be told by these four different people?
Mm,
What was the benefit of it? And
mm,
were these stories told after he died, or was it like, we know this guy, we need to document every fucking bit of his life. Let's fucking, as soon as this happens, let's write it down. Let's do this. Or is this just all stuff that is like from the past and like, oh yeah, do you remember that time fucking 15 years ago what Jesus did? Like, do you
yeah,
remember that? Like, you're not gonna remember all that fucking
yeah,
right on, and you're gonna
yeah,
probably put him over more, especially if he's fucking dead.
yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. I don't know how it was
Okay.
written, but
I might be able to answer some of that.
cool.
Your question, and I might answer the easiest one first, and then we'll go in order. So the easiest one was it written in the same time or after? Um, and I would say some of the Gospels. I think Matthew was written directly, like as it was happening, because that's the very first one. That's the most detailed version of Jesus's life that you can have. Um, Mark, Luke, and John. I think maybe John is more in the moment than Mark and Luke. Um, but after Matthew's the most like accurate depiction of like the events that happened with Jesus and the follower, his apostles that followed him. around. Okay, so why was this story so important to tell? And why is the New Testament centered around Jesus? So the New Testament is centered around Jesus because there was a prophecy from the Old Testament, multiple prophecies actually, that said the Son of Man will come down and will usher in a new kingdom, a new form of salvation. Now, the form of salvation that was present in the Old Testament was through sacrifice, through animal sacrifice, through sacrificing of your crops and all that stuff. And that would be what Christians would now consider as pagan worship, because you're taking something that's living, you're killing it off, you're giving it as a sacrifice for blessing. All cultures
Thanksgiving
throughout,
turkeys.
yeah, all cultures throughout history have done that. Um, and it's in some ways a very brutal way of attaining your salvation. But also, there was no real set salvation, right? Like in the Old Testament, there's a clear difference between the Old Testament and New Testament. The Old Testament was written out of base of fear. Like if you fuck up, you're going to hell. Doesn't matter. You have to be the perfect human being, right? Whereas in the New Testament, there is a way to salvation. There's a way to hot shot your way into heaven. I wouldn't say hot shot your way into heaven, like you're not jumping off of a building and going to heaven, but there's a way, there's a route to heaven that will get you to heaven. So why is his story so important? So the prophecy said that the Son of Man will come down and usher a new way into salvation, and the Son of Man is not like you and I. The Son of Man is the Son of God. So the Son of God, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, the Trinity of the essence of God. So the Father being God, what we know as God, the Son being Jesus, and the Holy Spirit being the energy in which fills people every day. So it would be like you and I going out in the sun, meditating, grounding, all that stuff. Like we feel that sense of energy that fills us. That is essentially the Holy Spirit. So it was believed that the Son of God would not be born in a temple. He wouldn't be born in some grandiose way. There wouldn't be a fucking a light from the sky that came down and all of a sudden here's this majestical human being. He would be born in poverty. He would live his life in poverty and he would die in poverty, because that is the ultimate form of sacrifice, is living your life in poverty, and giving of yourself what you have. And that can be physical things, that can be mental, emotional, that can be teaching people. And so what happened through the period of Jesus's life is he was born into poverty, right? Like his wife or his mom and his dad, um, lived. I think that they lived in Jerusalem, and Jerusalem was under the reign of the Roman like Empire at that time. So
Yeah.
they were doing a census, and because Mary and Joseph, his mother and father, were um, considered to be illegal at the time, they fled. They fled Jerusalem and went to Bethlehem. Now Bethlehem was like a safe haven in Israel, and so they gave birth to Jesus in a manger, which is pretty much like a feeding trough for animals. And you know, the idea that Christmas or Jesus's birth happened in December is bullshit, because it none of the astrological signs match up with Christmas. So
They wanted to do it on a holiday, a pagan holiday.
yes,
And
yes, exactly. So you got Yule. You have Yule around that time. You have all these other Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, all other things. So, anyways, so then you move into the life of Jesus. Jesus, when he was a kid, he went to the synagogues and he preached the message of Jesus, which, from the understanding of scholars, he received those messages from God, directly from God, and then he preached them out. And those were just like small things, right? Like believe, there's no God above you, pretty much reaffirming the Ten Commandments. And then there was an 18-year gap between the age of 12 and 30, where there's no recollection of Jesus. There's no mention of Jesus whatsoever. We don't know what happened in that time whatsoever,
which is
according to the Bible.
bullshit.
Yeah.
That's a huge bullshit story. Like that
Mhm.
part.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
he was doing something fucked up, and they don't want to
I
talk
wouldn't.
about it. Well,
I
and then
don't. I wouldn't go as far as to say something fucked up. They don't know what was happening, what happened that time,
where
because even in the transcripts, even in the original text, like there's no mention of Jesus whatsoever.
so
Like,
I mean, it's weird. Like, who disappears for fucking 12 years? Like,
I don't know.
what
I
what
wouldn't
do
I
you?
wouldn't go I wouldn't go as far as to say that he did something fucked up. I would go as far as to say like there's no there's no proof of like I mean that's 2000 3,000 years ago. I mean it would be hard to track one person every single waking second of their life, much
So then,
less 18 years.
how is the fucking tracking of what they did and written? How is that fucking any more relevant
A lot
than
uh,
what they missed?
well, hold on, hear me out. A lot
Okay,
of times the more relevant things were posted up, right? Cuz so or were written down, right? So for instance, his miracles that he did, very relevant, right? The routes that he traveled, very relevant because it gives a map of where he was going, right? The speeches that he gave, right? There's one that's called the Sermon on the Mount, very, very, very prestigious in that time where he spoke to like I think 3,000 people. That's very relevant. But for them to say Jesus woke up and then he ate bread, I mean that's irrelevant, right? Like at that point, it's irrelevant. And I don't know if what he did in his life in between the ages of 12 and 30 were irrelevant. I don't know. All I know is that what is provided to our knowledge now is that there's a missing gap of 18 years, and anything in that time could have happened. We just
so
don't know.
and also like, so I mean, isn't that his fucking first resurrection? Like,
No.
well, I mean, because like he just fucking all of a sudden pops back up. Like that,
Mm,
it seems iffy because then it could be going back to like the Alex Jones fucking
mm,
Bill Hicks thing. Like, did
mm,
he fucking maybe he got run over by a I don't like killed by a fucking rock at age fucking 18, and then like they brought someone back who looked like him at age 30, and then they killed him 3 years later,
No,
to
because
finish the story.
his message was pretty consistent, and every account of his mother being there were is pretty consistent, pretty thorough.
So you don't think
Um,
they could have brought somebody else back in later on, and it was just always
no,
him, and he
yeah,
disappeared for 12 years, or it had nobody say anything about him for 12 years? 12 years is a
yeah,
long fucking time, dude.
18
Like,
years.
okay, 18 years, dude. 18
Yeah.
years, dude. That's like that's a fucking someone being born up until uh someone like turning 18, which
Well,
like
yeah,
or 18 years, 18 years ago was 2007, dude. Like,
yeah, yeah.
dude, like you've done a lot since 2007.
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
that's a long fucking time to not fucking say
Yeah.
anything about someone, especially at that time from
Well,
12 to
then it
30.
yeah, well, I mean, on top of that too, he was considered to be a carpenter, right? Because Joseph, his father, was a carpenter. The human was a carpenter, so he like passed down his trade to Jesus, and Jesus is very well known to be a carpenter throughout the Bible. Now, I'll say this: I don't believe in God, but there's a lot of scientific proof and like a lot of archaeological proof, right? Because archaeology feeds into science, and science feeds into archaeology in that realm. There's a lot of scientific and archaeological proof that the events in the Bible happened and were real. These places are real and can be traced and found, and they're continuously finding these things. I don't necessarily believe, humans are fallible. So, but at any rate, at any rate, Jesus was known to be a carpenter, right? Like that was his profession, right? So, like in between the ages of 12, which is at that time was considered an adult, right? Like
Sure.
you're transitioning from being a boy to a man. So, like you're taking skills, you're learning skills, and you're building on them. Jesus was a carpenter, so in between the ages of 12 and 18, who knows? He could have just been a fucking carpenter, right? Like he could have just been that dude that was out there that was out there building things, that was taking in wood, molding it into what it should, what it could be. We don't know that. There's no evidence to support, what happened. But
Wait, so 12 to 30, you said, or 12 to 18?
12 to 30.
12 to 30, okay.
So 30, he resurfaces.
Okay, how's he resurface?
I don't know.
What he just shows up like, hey, you guys remember me, dude?
Well, no. The story of Jesus, it's almost like at the age of 12, the to be continued sign came up in a movie, and then it was like, as of last time, this is what happened, and now we're here. So he reemerges, and he starts to he starts to gain followers and all this stuff, and he always said, I'm the son of God, right? Like, I am not I am mortal, I am a human being, I can be hurt, I can be pierced, but I am the son of God. And then and through my death, which he knew he was going to die, right? Like, he was very cognizant of that. He was aware of that, because that was the insight that he got from God.
So, but
Was
he
that
also willed that into himself.
You could say that he willed it into himself, but it could be a different thing, right? Like, you can have divine intervention. I mean, a lot of times we have divine intervention that will intercede on our behalf and kind of give us, a prophecy, if you will, or a precursor or a premonition that says, hey, this is going to fucking happen in your future, man, whether you choose to believe it or not. And so it could be willed in. It could be divine intervention. I believe very much in divine intervention.
Okay.
Whether
it's so God said you're going to die at 33. You're going to be killed. Yeah. They're going to kill you.
Well, he didn't necessarily say die at 33, but he said essentially what he said is you're going to die to pave the way for other people to enter the kingdom of heaven, right? You're going to be the living sacrifice for people to enter into heaven.
So, I mean, would you start changing your thought process if someone told you that? If someone said, hey, Sean, and I mean, like, there's been a lot of people who have also claimed to be, the second or third or fourth coming of Jesus, who have kind of done the same. Like, dude, you're gonna die, and you're gonna sacrifice yourself for the betterment of mankind. You would start fucking changing what you're doing because you have that knowledge. Like, I feel like you would start doing stuff, at least subconsciously, to try to die. And because you're going to die, and that's how things work. And I don't know, I wouldn't assume you'd just be sitting around just going, I'm gonna wait, dude, and it's just gonna happen, dude. Like, you're gonna, like, dude, I bet I can die pretty fucking soon, dude. I bet I can figure this out. And like, and also, I mean, did he then have thoughts of suicide?
Well, we don't know that.
Yeah. And so who else wrote something from 12 to 30? Has there been like any people, like is that like super sacrilege to fucking to make something like that? Like, if we made something like,
I think that there is Dead Sea Scrolls that actually talk about his life that haven't been found, that weren't found when the actual Bible was transcribed, that were found whenever the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. I don't know exactly that. I wouldn't try and introduce something into literacy that would be speculation on the life of a historical character like that, just simply for the fact of at that point it's speculation and there's no proof behind it. As far as the thoughts of suicide or changing your mind, I don't know about that, but I do know that his mission was to spread the word of God, because at that point human beings had changed their thought process, their prospect away from God and onto secular things themselves. And they were committing murder. They were like, just like people were not following the 10 Commandments. And so Jesus's mission was to go out, spread the word. Now, he combated essentially when he would have debates where he would go into synagogues, or he was an outlaw. Like, let's just say he was an outlaw. Like, he was very much a wanted man. And when he came, he would go and he would debate against rabbis, about the word of God, because they had this old version of the Old Testament and this old way of living versus what Jesus was giving them, which was a new way of living, um which was what he was given by God from his understanding, right? So you had these two separate ideologies clashing, right? And so that's why, like, now the Jewish faith, if you're like a devout Jew, you don't believe that Jesus was the Son of God. You believe that he was just a messenger, and that he spread his word, and that's what it was. But toward the end of his life, I don't know like the timeline of things because it's not necessarily spread out. But what we now know as Black Friday, Jesus, or Good Friday, Jesus walked into or rode into Jerusalem. There's a big celebration. Everybody loved him. And then he was sold out by Judas Iscariot, one of his followers. And Judas handed Jesus over to the Roman police or Roman army. He went under prosecution under Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate, which was like the governor of Israel of Jerusalem at the time, couldn't find anything wrong with Jesus whatsoever. He's like, this dude is just a man, right? Like, he's not doing anything wrong. He's not hurting people, and he hasn't stolen anything. So he left it up to the Jewish rabbis, or the rabbis, to make a decision what they wanted to do with Jesus, because they called him a criminal. And what they said was, we want the worst form of death for this man as an example to him and his followers, right? So at the time, the worst form of death was suffering, which was on a cross, right? Like, his death didn't happen quick. It happened over a matter of 3 days, from what we understand. So they beat him with a cat and nine tails, which is a whip that has 9 arms extending off that have hooks in them, and they beat him. And then they forced him to carry his cross, which was made of wood, uh, from that center where he got beat all the way to the mountain or the hill where he was actually crucified at.
Did he
And
build
he
the
sat.
cross?
No, it was built for him.
Why didn't he build it?
I mean, he just got beat. Why
Well, I
would he
mean,
build his own cross?
why?
Like,
Why wouldn't they have a fucking carpenter build his own cross
mm,
and like supply the nails? He probably had them all.
he probably did too.
People are gonna
I
fucking
mean,
kill you for saying that. Jesus Christ.
yeah, dude, you're gonna get a lot of hate for saying that. Um, but essentially, no. I mean, like, when you think about somebody getting beaten, whipped, we have depictions of like slavery, slave times. The beating that this man received tore flesh, and I don't mean like tore flesh as in like he got struck and there was a mark. I mean, like, it ripped his flesh off of him, and when they got done with him, he was completely unrecognizable. And he was bleeding everywhere. His cross had blood on it before he even went up on it. A normal crucifixion they would they would take rope and they would tie the arms, stretching them out, and they would tie it tight as shit, and then he would just hang there. But they took it a step further and they put nails. Now the depictions in the churches and statues you see as it goes through his palm, but if we know that the bone would rip through it, so they put it right here in the wrist. So he died a very slow and painful death, and then in the feet. And they mocked him. And then ultimately, when they thought he was dead, they stabbed him in the side with a spear. And when they did that, a fluid came out that was not blood.
What
Um,
was it? What did it look like?
I don't know. I would have to go back and look, but they
Okay,
said
but
it was not blood.
it says it in
It-
there what it looks like. It's like, oh, it was a green steamy liquid that like
No, it was
whatever it
no. They
was.
said it was clear. They said it was clear.
Okay, so some sort of clear liquid came out of him. Where'd they
Yeah,
stab him?
right in the side. Right in
Oh,
the
on the
side there.
side. Okay.
Yeah. So like all your major organs should be there. And so when he died, essentially when he died, like literally the moment that he took his last breath, um, thunderclouds rolled in, storm came, which was odd for that time, for that season. Even like the storm clouds rolling in at that time were very odd. And there was an earthquake that hit literally simultaneously. Now you can call it coincidence, you can call it what it was, but that was the entryway into heaven. And then the idea that Jesus rose from the grave 3 days later. Well, no, sorry, Jesus didn't die in 3 days. Sorry, he died, I think, in 12 hours. Yeah. Okay, so he died in 12 hours because he was crucified at what we would consider 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He died at 3 in the morning, I think,
So wait,
which is
hold on.
why. Yeah.
So
Okay. Go ahead.
his wrist and his fucking feet. What? So nothing came out clear until it was blood until after he died or before he died. So was
No,
it
so
clear shit coming
no,
out? It was just
no,
it was
no. He
blood
had
coming
blood.
out except for wherever he got stabbed in the side.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there was
So
some
there's
stuff in the side of him that came out clear.
some liquid that came out of him clear. And so when they buried him, essentially what happened was they took a bolt, like they buried him, and then the Roman guards, because of the prophecy, because Jesus kept saying, "In 3 days I will rise." Like, you can kill me, but in 3 days I'm going to rise, and I will walk amongst you. So what happened is they wrapped him in what is people believe the shroud of Turin is now, and then they put him in a tomb, and then they literally it took 4 to 5 Roman soldiers to push a boulder in front of this entryway to this tomb, right? So like no mortal human more than one person, more than 3 or 5 people. Now this is a Roman soldier. These dudes are fucking strong, right? So 4 to 5 people, you have to imagine like these dudes are beefcake, Brutus the Barber. Okay.
Right.
Um,
Cutting and strutting.
yeah, your normal Israeli uh, human being, it would take about 10 of them um, to remove the stone. Now, when Jesus died, all his disciples, the 12 of them, dispersed because they were like, our leader died. We're done. And there's nothing more that he can give us in this moment that we can receive. So they all split. They all went into mourning. And so in 3 days, Mary, his mother, and Mary Magdalene went to the grave or to the tomb to go, do whatever. And there was an angel on top of the stone that where it was the entryway, and the stone had been removed, and the angel was sitting on top of it. It said, "Your Savior is not dead; he walks amongst you." And so, when they actually found him, like they could identify the holes in his wrist. They saw the scars from the crown of thorns on his head. They saw the scars from his body, like he had been healed, but you could still see the wounds.
So that goes to something with the past life experience.
Mhm.
With how people usually have birthmarks. Like when people have birthmarks, it's speculated that that's where they were killed in their previous life. Like if someone's got a fucking, if he had the crown of thorns and the fucking things there, but like, I wonder if he had like a birthmark on the side of his
Well,
stomach
see,
or whatever.
the thing, it wasn't a birthmark. Like people actually stuck their fingers, like according to the Bible, on counts. What we have, they stuck their finger through the hole in his wrist, the holes in his wrist,
This
and
person
they
that
could.
came back,
Mhm.
and who
Yep,
was the person that came back?
Jesus, like
So
like
who was the
the
guy
one
that
who
got?
died.
So he came back.
Mhm.
Just
He
so
rose
okay.
from the dead.
He disappeared for 18 years. He came
Mhm.
back for 3 years. Went away for 3 days. Came back and you can stick your finger or whatever you want through those holes.
Mhm.
Jesus Christ, man. Um,
Yeah, look, trust me, man.
so
For somebody who doesn't understand this, it's very confusing. I get it.
oh, so then okay. So then when did he die then again? Because
He never
if he
died.
came
He ascended
where
from from the
where
Bible. Hear me out. Hear me
okay.
out. From the Bible. I think it was 40 days. It could have been. I have to get more specific, but I think it's 30 to 40 days after he rose from the dead, after the resurrection happened. he ascended into heaven. Now, there's accounts in the Bible that tell the story of the ascension, right? Like there's figures that were prominent in the Bible, like Elijah and Elisha, and maybe one other one that came down and pulled him into heaven. Now, you can say that that is aliens, would be aliens. We don't know, but all we do know is that he ascended into heaven, into the sky, and there were not one, not 12, multiple, and we're talking about like hundreds of people that witnessed this shit, if not thousands of people that witnessed his resurrection and then him ascending into heaven. So there's different eyewitnesses, and why there isn't thousands of different eyewitness accounts, we don't know. But
So
we do
what was
know
he
that.
doing?
What do you mean?
What was he doing when he ascended to heaven? What were they all doing if there was a
So
shitload of people sitting around with him and just
so
watching? Just like,
essentially,
oh, there
no.
he
So
goes.
no. So essentially, he was like, I told you I was gonna die, and I told you I was gonna rise, and now I'm gonna go provide a place for you in heaven, right? And so, like, he was essentially showing the resurrection, not showing it off, but being like, because at that time, to be a follower of Jesus Christ, or what we know as Jesus Christ, was a crime. Like, after they killed Jesus, they made it a crime to be a follower of Jesus. And so that's one of the other reasons why the followers of Jesus, the apostles, had to go into hiding, was because they were being hunted, essentially. And so um, Jesus brought all of them together, and he wanted to show the people that followed him, the crowds that followed him, like, hey, look, dude, this is real. I didn't just say it; it's real. And so that was, and he, before he ascended into heaven, he said, okay, now is the time. I'm going to go, and I'm going to provide a place for you. Now, that story, a lot of people can look at that and be like, that's bullshit, because it doesn't fit the thought process of how we see things now. And I get it, I understand. But also the thought process of us now versus the thought process of 2000, almost 2500, or yeah, 2000 years ago, is completely different, right? The faith that human beings had back then is not the faith that human beings have now. The way that people operated back then is not the way that we operate now. And so, and we have the different versions of the Bible that are transcribed by human beings, whereas the original text, if I'm not wrong, was in Sumerian, which is a dead language, and I think there's only like one or two human beings alive that can actually transcribe Sumerian. Um, and so, like, through time, things have been warped, things have been changed to fit, and every narrative for certain generations, certain periods of time. Uh, but I think, like, one of the more consistent things are these pillars, the pillar stories in the Bible, which is the story of Jesus. So, why was Jesus' story so important to tell in the Bible? Because he was the embodiment of the prophecy that was told in the Old Testament come to life and transformed into what he was. Yeah, and there's
So
people that been people through history that said, "I'm the second coming of Jesus Christ," and that's load of shit.
so why do we treat people that are in poverty and have fucking nothing, like absolute fucking shit, as a
Mm,
society? If
bec-
if we think that
as
they could, you know, is
as
it to go and keep that going on, to keep it like, if Jesus comes back, we better keep treating these people like shit, because it might be fucking Jesus, and Jesus has to fucking prove
Mhm.
that
No,
that's what I am.
no, I think that's because as a society and as a whole, we've always looked down on the less fortunate. Not every single person does, and I wouldn't
Right,
say a good majority of human beings do. I would say that as a society, we look down on the less fortunate, and we say, "Oh,
right.
they don't
I agree.
have what we have," and so they're less than, which is absolutely terrible. No one should ever be looked down upon for their, for their misfortunes. Um, they should be looked down upon for their actions, right?
Sure.
Like, we obviously have an understanding of the Epstein list and Hitler and and Genghis Khan and some of these more polarizing evil figures throughout history. And those people should be looked down upon, but we shouldn't be looking down upon the less fortunate, right? Because they haven't been handed the greatest cards in life. Some people were born into poverty and will die into poverty, right? Some people will be born into poverty and do great fucking things and then elevate themselves and and step out of poverty and then do things for the people in poverty because they know what it feels like. And that's embodying, and I'm not saying this as like a hypocritical oath or anything like that. That is embodying the essence of Jesus. Is is when you are able to elevate yourself and then in turn around and help the next person in line, right? Because that's essentially what he was doing. If you read into his miracles, right? He fed the homeless. He he never preached to the saints. He never preached to the rabbis. He always sat with the people who were considered the sinners because he was one of them. He was one of those. He was somebody that he was the OG street, the OG street preacher, right? And so yeah, it's wild, and I think I've talked about Bashar before, and on some of our talks, and he's a medium for the Galactic Federation. Which, if you choose to believe in that, you choose to believe in it. If you don't, you don't. That's cool. But Bashar mentions that the human being Jesus was real, but he didn't teach people to follow. He taught people to lead. And essentially, every single time that he encountered something, when he looked at his disciples or his apostles, and he said, "Hey, look, I'm going to heaven, and I'm going to go do my thing, but you are the church, right? Like you are the ones that are going to go spread the word now out throughout the lands, and they are considered the foundation of the church." Peter, the apostle Peter, or the disciple Peter, is the foundation of church. He literally looked at Peter and said, "The name Peter means foundation or rock, and you are the rock in which my church will be built upon."
Wait till you
And
learn about what it's going to mean later.
yeah, yeah. But at any rate, Bashar said that the polarizing figure of Jesus was severely misunderstood, in the Bible, and even now, outside of it, and in society, he is severely misunderstood. He was never a leader, but he was one of those people that taught people how to lead, right? Like, and he was one of those ones that said, "These are the characteristics you must embody as a leader in order to be a great leader, in your life." So I think, and it talks about humility. It talks about giving of yourself. It talks about, you know, um, um, being present for the less fortunate and stuff like that. And so and those are just like quick whips of what he taught. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Um, we went into a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. I
yeah,
don't
we
know. We just resurrected after 3 days.
Geesh. Yeah. So yeah, that's a rabbit hole. And you know what? We didn't even touch, man. How was your week?
Oh man, it was cool, man. Fucking just
Yeah.
chilling. Fucking went to DC, saw the National Guard there.
No.
That was
Oh man.
interesting.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. That's about it, man. I just fucking was here, you know,
Yeah.
working on slaving away, man. What
I hear
about
you.
you, dude?
My week has been. I made a pumpkin pie cheesecake for
Hey, was that good?
Thanksgiving. Yes. I didn't have any because I wanted to give it to the guests that or the house that I was going over to. So they loved it. They had a blast.
Okay.
They enjoyed it. I went to go see a buddy of mine from the Army, Chris, yesterday, and I went to go see my family yesterday. So I ate two different dinners. I was far too stuffed. There's been some stuff in my personal life that has not been the greatest, and it's hard. And I'm not talking about it on here, but it's been very difficult to handle and to deal with, especially this last week. Um, but outside of that, man, it's getting colder, and the wind has been absolutely ripping through through this county, and I think it's
Yeah.
about time I take my flags down because I don't want my flagpoles to get fucked up.
Yeah, I went out before this episode and dude, the wind was fucking bogarting my joint like crazy, dude. I'm
Yeah.
like a fucking smoked half my joint for me,
No.
man. Like, you son of a bitch, man. Stop fucking doing
Yeah.
that. That's what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, but I think for the rest of the day and maybe the rest of the weekend, I mean, Survivor Series is tomorrow, so I'm gonna watch Survivor Series. But I think for the rest of the weekend, I'm gonna watch Stranger Things, the new installment of Stranger Things, and
Okay.
yeah.
What about like, yeah, we should probably reach out to the people, um, the yoga people today and be like, hey, just remember, don't go there. I saw that they're doing a Christmas thing.
Yeah.
What's her
Christmas
name?
market.
Sent me a thing that they're doing that this weekend.
Amanda.
Amanda, shout out, come to the fucking yoga.
Yeah. Shout out to Amanda.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, there's some sort of Christmas mart there going on this week, but I feel like we should gift the people in the yoga something for this week, so they're not just like, if people are just waiting for us, like, I don't know if that's the case, but at least give them something.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. But yeah. So that's the show. Russ, you got anything you want to say before we bounce out of here?
Don't take all my opinions of this episode and form your opinion of me. These are just questions that came up in my head, and yeah, I know you can't. I'm almost more scared of fucking Disney than I am of the religious people.
Yeah.
Dude.
Hey, we'll keep you guys posted if Disney comes knocking at our door.
Yeah, dude. Fucking Walt, get the fuck out, bro. You're supposed to be dead. You're frozen.
Yeah, definitely. But all right, y'all. Until next time, have a good week. Much love.